Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. Welcome to the ultimate guide to a part 1 Fred or Freddy Krueger costume. So like I said, we're going to be focusing on the part 1 look. So this video kind of coincides with 2 new scores to essentially complete my part 1 Freddy costume, but also this video acts as a guide for anyone wanting to either cosplay or do a life-size display of Fred or just have the pieces in their collection. So we're going to be working our way from the top all the way down to my 2 new scores. So with that being said, sit back, relax, get your Dickies out, it'll all make sense later, as we go through the ultimate guide to the part 1 Fred Krueger costume. So at the end of the video, I'm going to do a bit of a demonstration just out in my living room there with the 2 new scores, which are basically the pants and the boots. So I did a video a few months ago on the screen accurate boots that Robert Englund wore as Fred Krueger in A Nightmare on Elm Street 1. They arrived ages ago and I was going to do an unboxing, but I took them out of the box and just gave them a little bit of weathering. Now, anything I've done to the pieces, I will tell you and show you what I used. Again, starting from the top, we're going to start with the good old Fedora. So I am convinced they use several types of fedoras because they seemingly change shape throughout the film. For the longest time, I used the brand, the make and model, the designer collection Godfather fedora. I've owned a few. They are a great looking fedora. From what I know, and with thank you to Ron Voss, who is my reference guy and the go-to Fred reference guy in the Fred community, that was used as the Stunt fedora. I'm pretty sure this is that particular fedora right here with the stunt man and Amanda Weiss as Tina. Now, when it comes to the hero fedora, it's supposedly a Stetson Royal Deluxe Whippet. No, not that Whippet, this Whippet. In terms of year, I have no clue. I mean, this is 1983, 1984. So this thing could have been like 20 years old. It could have been from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. No idea what the wardrobe department had. But it looks like it fits the bill. And again, the brim changes, the ribbon changes. In terms of the one I have, this is one I found off Facebook Marketplace. Now, no, don't pick up Chucky. Pick up the fedora. No, don't pick up Freddy there. No, fuck me. It just wants to track every bloody face except the fedora. So I found this off Facebook Marketplace. Now the brand, is Woodrow and Sons. So the size is 7 1/8. It fits my head perfectly, and it also fits something that I'm going to touch on in a second. But this is not a fedora. This is actually a Homburg, because I'm convinced they might have used a Homburg at one point throughout the film. So this required a lot of steaming. Originally, it was black, but I figured it was the perfect aesthetic and the perfect blank canvas. So there was a lot of weathering. I mostly misted it with an acrylic brown fed through an airbrush, just like a student acrylic. Also a flat gray primer from Rust-Oleum just to really get that gray look. I even attacked it with a blowtorch, most notably on the front here, just to really give that singed look. Now this is the silhouette I always love, like this part of the brim curled up and this part of the brim folded out. So again, what you want to be looking for is something very similar to this if you can't find the Stetson Royal Deluxe Whippet, or if you want to go the stunt route, which pretty much looks the same as the hero, you know, same ribbon, same kind of trim, is the designer collection Godfather fedora. You can't go wrong. And in terms of your head shape, of course it varies. Just know your size, look up a size chart on Google. Now, when it comes to the face, you're either going to want a mask or a good resin bust, depending if you're cosplaying as Freddy, dressing up for Halloween, or you just want to display, statue, life size, whatever you're going for. For a mask, a good silicone mask, your best bet is Mr. James Updegraff, aka Dark Ride. I have owned a part 2, and I've also owned his part 1 mask. They are beautiful. The silicone snaps onto your face. It moves just, you know, with your facial movements. The paintwork is beautiful. The craftsmanship is exquisite. So that's if you are dressing up as Freddy. If you're wanting to do a display, this is a shameless plug, but I make resin busts. Stand by. Here he is. So this is a resin bust that I'm currently working on for a client. I've just got to go in and seal it up and gloss up the wounds. So I offer these part 1 busts. I also do a neutral expression Fred bust. The eyes are movable. So, and I do take requests now and then when people don't want the shoulders because they want to pop this bad boy on a mannequin. So I will leave the link down below for my Etsy store. I love making these things. You know, they are very, very labor intensive to paint, but at the same time, I love them. And at one point, I had one of these on my life-size Freddy display. And just for a bit of transparency, I actually ended up selling that life-size Fred. And I know I said it was my pride and joy, but something came up that I had the opportunity to purchase. And I figured I could make another life-size Fred down the track, which I'm actually doing at the moment. Now that I've got pretty much everything, sans a few pieces, including another glove, but I will get to this glove in a minute. Something came up and I figured I could sell this, and it's going to a good home in the United States. I'm shipping it bit by bit at the moment. These photos that you see here are from Mr. David Miller, who did Robert's makeup on the original Elm Street as well as Elm Street 5 and New Nightmare. I purchased one of his screen-used mold appliance busts. I wanted it for so long. The opportunity came up. I know these are somewhat limited because the molds are falling apart. And again, I figured I could just make another life-size display down the track. And I am at the moment. I found a really good mannequin that has a really sweet looking pose. It's actually a sports mannequin in a basketball pose. I'm like, that's kind of part one Fred. So there will be a whole nother unboxing when that bust arrives from David Miller. And I've been chatting with David on and off since I placed my order. He's been great, really giving some insight to the behind the scenes of making the first Elm Street, which I will touch on in that video. But it was one of those things where if the opportunity fell through and David no longer made those busts, I'd be kicking myself. I've always wanted to own something like this, so just had to seize the moment. And another little bonus thing that I'm working on this week, and I'm actually waiting on the silicon to start molding it, is a hybrid part one Fred skull display. I'm really excited. It's going to be a nice throwback to the original Elm Street poster, but also at the end of Freddy's Revenge where he starts to melt away, and Kevin Yeager built that beautiful prop that's all melty and you see skulls. So this is going to be a high-end display that'll come with a custom-made base and then glass eyes inserted even in the skull. So hopefully mold that this week and have a casting ready to go next week. And that'll also be up on my Etsy store. Gloves. When it comes to gloves, there are a couple of artists that I highly recommend. So this glove you see right here isn't a part one per se. This is an as seen today glove by Mr. Christian Carlson of Glove Love Sweden. So this is essentially how the hero glove from Elm Street 1 and 2 looks today. So in terms of a part one, the one I had with my life-size Freddy was from George Lang. George makes gloves on and off. He essentially just makes them when he feels like them and sells them. Christian also offers a part one as well as a part two, as well as the as seen today. Now, I also highly recommend Mark Petrie over at knifegloves.com, who does the template glove like Christian, as you see right here. I have owned a part two and a part one template glove from Mark. Again, the attention to detail is incredible. The charring effects, the leather work, the wrinkles in the leather, it's all there. Now, that's for something if you want metal blades. You know, you can also find other glove makers that specialize in con-safe gloves. And what I mean by con-safe is plastic flexible blades, so you can attend a convention without the worry of having, you know, something that is essentially could be classed as a weapon. Now, when it comes to the left hand and you're going all out, whether it be cosplaying or for your life-size display, you want some good makeup that's going to last. So I would highly recommend the Skin Illustrator Dirt Palette. So this is alcohol activated with isopropyl alcohol. So you spray it on and then you can flick it on, spritz it on, smooch it on, just really dirty up your hands. The great thing is it won't come off unless you have some good makeup wipes and more isopropyl alcohol. So a lot of times, you know, you can use acrylics and stuff like that, but that can wipe off. It can get on your costume, it can get on your mask, and it can just get on everywhere else and just get very messy. But this is well worth the investment. This stuff goes a long way. Now, when it comes to sweaters, this topic is on a bit of a somber note. So my part one sweater is from the very talented Margaret O, who's based in Germany. So Margaret, in my opinion, makes some of the best sweaters I have ever seen in terms of pattern, color. Obviously the part one having just stripes on the torso and not on the sleeves. This was then weathered by Mr. Tim Richer, who does an incredible job. So he partnered up with Margaret. As of a few months ago, Margaret unfortunately passed away. And again, she was instrumental in the community, and I am holding onto this thing. This thing is a beautiful representation of how the Part 1 sweater looks. So in terms of who to go through next, I highly recommend Mr. Connor Patrick of Creepy Customs, who has just recently started offering Part 1 sweaters that he's patterned off the hero sweater. He does a clean and a weathered version. So he has an Etsy store, and I will leave that down below. So in terms of size, this is a large. I'm pretty sure Robert wore between a large and an extra large. Like, you look at it on him and it just hangs off him. Like, Robert was a tiny bloke, very broad shouldered, but a tiny bloke, like very lean. He was a surfer. Why is my camera blowing out all of a sudden? Okay. All right. So it's So the funny thing is, you know how Wes Craven put red and green together because the human eye just fucking hates seeing them side by side? It seems like my camera's like getting confused as well. Even my lens is like, bro, what the hell? So yeah, this is my Margaret O sweater. I'm hanging onto this thing. I absolutely adore it. So now in terms of the undies wore as Fred Krueger, the brand was Playboy and it was their signature low-rise briefs. Now when it comes to socks, you want to look at getting yourself some TCK authentic tube socks. So those are indeed the same make and model undies and socks he wore as Fred Krueger in A Nightmare on Elm Street. Okay, pants. So this is one of two of my newest scores. So David Miller was quoted as saying the pants that Robert wore on Nightmare 1, and I'm pretty sure continuing onwards, were Dickies brand. So Dickies have the original fit. It is the 874 original fit, you know, not form-fitting, not slim, anything like that, just real baggy work pants. And I found a pair on Facebook Marketplace for $50. They're not exactly vintage, but it's same. Like, they've always used the same pattern for the longest time, as far as I can remember. So yeah, got these for $50. And they were pretty worn in, which is great. So in terms of my weathering, and keep in mind guys, at the end I am going to showcase me with the boots and the pants and the sweater just outside here, just so you get a proper look. But in terms of weathering, because it's a very dusty kind of appearance when it comes to the pants Robert wore in the first Elm Street, this was a mixture of white oil color, also spritzing on a little bit of that gray, flat gray primer from Rust-Oleum that I used on my Fedora, or Homburg, if you want to get technical. Particularly paying attention to the bottom, the hems and stuff like that, like really muddying them up. Also attacking it with different grits of sandpaper to really rough up the seams and stuff like that. Now, this is a size 34. I'm usually a size 32. And if you look at Robert in the sequence where he lifts up his sweater and cuts his chest open, you can see he's very Harry High Pants. And I'm going to emulate that Harry High Pants look out there. And I tried these on last night. They fit perfect. And with the Harry High Pants look, they look spot on, especially with the boots. So I'm very happy I went with that. So if you are going the route of, you know, Dickies work pants, you might want to go a size or two up just to get that added baggy appearance. And last but certainly not least, the boots. So a few months ago, I did a video showcasing the screen accurate boots and where to source them. So firstly, once again, a massive shout out to Lee Thomas and Creeping Fear Collections. So these are the guys that put me on to possibly being the screen accurate boot, and these are readily available on eBay, and here's my pair. So these right here are my Altama vintage military jungle boots with the ripple sole with added real dirt on the bottom. So I got these off eBay for about $50, I want to say, and there's my camera lens blowing out the light again. So in terms of what I did to the boots, not much. They came pretty much as is. The only thing I did was hit it with a little bit of sandpaper and baby powder just to get rid of the sheen of the leather to really matte them up. So as far as we know, it's a pretty much dead on match. And it's something that I always remembered seeing was the ripple sole, especially at the opening build sequence and right before Fred hits the tripwire before the explosion when Nancy set all those booby traps. I'm pretty sure this is a size 10. So I vary. I go from size 10, 10 and a half. It depends on the make and model boot. So what I'm going to do now is show you guys with the boots on, the pants on, the sweater. I'm going to leave the glove on here, pop the fedora on, and just give you guys a good idea of how everything looks on. Okay, so I've got some good old Gary socks on. These are the exact same make and model socks Robert wore as Freddy. So in terms of like how comfy these boots are, they're actually pretty good. I think the hardest part with like the high lace ups is putting them on, lacing them up, but you don't have to feed the laces through, which is good. And you just kind of got to tighten as you go up. So I do the bunny ears when I tie. I don't do the single bunny ear. Okay, get all nice and baggy. There you go. Now, let's do some recreations from the build scene and the tripwire scene. And of course the good old tripwire shot. So in comparison, the tread is a bit more prominent on Robert's actual boot, whereas my tread here is a little bit worn down as, say, opposed to this boot here. But we are taking a look at the left boot. But from like the profile and just how kind of narrow everything is here, it's a dead-on match. Now, like I said, if you really want to go for accuracy, you got to go the Harry High Pants route. So, you know, from this behind-the-scenes shot of Robert before he slices his chest open, you can see his pants are quite high. Probably is one of those things as well where they don't want to reveal too much of his normal-looking chest, torso, because there is a bit of like burn makeup there. And yes, I know there is a bat suit here and I am going to finish it at some point in the next month or so. Don't stress if you're a viewer on the Cosplay Chris channel. But in terms of a fit, hopefully you guys get a pretty good idea, because like I'm trying to angle this as best I can and sometimes it's hard to get a full body shot. But in terms of like the bagginess, it's a perfect fit. Again, I'm a size 32 usually, and this is a size 34. So even if they're down to here, you'd get them extra baggy, which you can see now and then, even in that same boiler room scene, they are quite baggy, but also just with the way the boots look, brilliant. Okay, let's chuck the sweater on. One fedora or Homburg. So the way the sweater, from what I can see, it would like tuck up here and kind of fall down like here. So it's nice and baggy. That's kind of the look you want to go for. So yeah, Robert said the glove was quite heavy, which is a little bit of bullshit, but I think after like wearing it for like a full day, you kind of go like that, and that's probably how he kind of, you know, involve that with the character. So, you know, have your hand down like that. And again, nice and dusty when it comes to the actual pants, like not just stark black, bit of sandpaper, you know, your white oil colors, and also spritzing, whether it be a flat gray or a white spray paint, just to give that real dusty effect, especially on the bottoms of the pants. And it is getting quite hot now. Like, it's starting to go into winter. We're currently in autumn, but it's still quite stuffy in this sweater. Again, this is a large, you know, still, you know, a little bit snug on me here and there, but I'd love to see what an extra large would look like. But there you go. And there you go, guys. I hope this video helps out if you are cosplaying or dressing up as Freddy for a convention or Halloween this year, or you're doing a life-size Freddy statue, just display, or just to have those pieces in the collection. With that being said, let me know down below your favorite look of Freddy. I always go back and forth. It's either part 1 or you can just see him back there, good old part 2. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.